thank you so much for joining us today for the Nourishing Your Baby Lactation series. We'd like to first thank our sponsors, the Roanoke Public Libraries, the Roanoke Public Library Foundation, Star City Reads, Feed, Read, and Grow, and of course, the Junior League of the Roanoke Valley, who sponsored this event through a community focus grant. We thank you so much for joining as well, and we hope you enjoyed today's video.
Dr. Wells, what is postpartum depression and anxiety, and is it common?
Yeah, so postpartum depression and anxiety are common and treatable conditions, and they're part of a larger group of disorders that we call PMADs, or perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. Postpartum depression is probably the most talked about disorder of PMADs, while postpartum anxiety is actually the most common. And like I said, PMADs are very common. They are the #1 medical complication during pregnancy in the first year postpartum. They're estimated to occur in about 1 in 5 women, so 20% of women experience a PMAD, and about 1 in 7 that perinatal mood and anxiety disorder is of a depressive disorder. There's also much higher prevalence in low income, BIPOC, disabled, and those of sexual and gender minority populations, where it's estimated that the prevalence might be as high as 50%, so 1 in 2 women. And PMADs can also occur in partners or anyone that's part of the birth experience. So it's not just always the person giving birth, it can affect fathers and partners as well.
How do I know I have it?
So I want to set out sort of 2 different ideas. A lot of persons after they give birth, I mean, it's a pretty big change in your life, financial, relational. Often it involves a move, a change in how you might be habitating with your partner. So a lot of things going on that can lead to some instability of your mood, along with a great deal of hormonal changes. So a lot of people experience a depression of sorts in their mood, and we tend to call it postpartum blues. If it happens within the first 2 weeks of birth and you're feeling just a little more emotional, maybe a little down, but not so much that you're unable to complete your activities of daily living, and you're caring for your child and you feel like you're making progress and you sort of feel good, but you might have these sort of transient or short-term episodes of feeling a little down. Versus when we think of a perinatal mood disorder or postpartum depression, we think of more debilitating illness, depressed mood to the point where you might not want to get up and tend to your baby. You have difficulty motivating to do things that you otherwise would have had no trouble with. Sometimes it's accompanied by rage or irritability, anger, which seem to come out of nowhere that you can't explain. The thoughts can be so much that you might feel hopeless, helpless, worthless. And you might start feeling guilty that you're a bad mother. You're not doing the things that you wanted to do, that you set out during your pregnancy to be the mother you wanted to be. And that can often lead to suicidal thoughts. And those are the ways you know that you've moved outside of a postpartum blue. That ends after about 2 weeks. So certainly if symptoms are continuing beyond 2 weeks postpartum, then you know you might be dealing with something more serious.
So what should I do if I think I might have that?
So the first thing I want you to do is tell somebody. So someone in your support network. It can be a partner, it can be a friend, it can be a doctor. Certainly, the first thing I want you to know is you're not alone and there is help. There are many community organizations, there are medical organizations that are here to help you. So when you first notice these symptoms developing, I want you to get support, and support usually comes from your immediate network. The next thing is to make sure you're telling a physician. So that could be your primary care doctor. It could be a psychiatrist if you're already connected to mental health care. It might be your OB. It might even be your newborn's pediatrician. That might be the first person you see in the immediate postpartum period when you notice your mood is really so down that you're having difficulty getting things done. I just want people to know that there's help available. If you feel like it's emergent, you're feeling suicidal, you're having thoughts of harming your baby, I consider that an emergency and I want you to call 911. There are other helplines, emergent helplines out there. There's the maternal mental health hotline, which we'll provide when we speak with a group, and there's Postpartum Support International also has a warm line to help women deal with psychiatric crises. So beyond the emergent, once you tell your doctor can connect you to care, whether that's medication management, because we have a number of medications that can help with these feelings, or psychotherapy, both peer support and individual psychotherapy, and or group, so postpartum support groups that help mothers who are struggling with symptoms after the birth of their children. I think too, I want to empower women to know that they can start to do things themselves. Sometimes when you're depressed enough, that is very difficult. But if you're looking for easy things you can do, one of the best things that you can do is try to look at your sleep and get a good block of sleep every night. So I often talk to my patients about sleeping in blocks. So your husband might sleep from 8 to 12, and then he gets up at 12 and covers 12 to 5, and you sleep that block of 12 to 5. With breastfeeding moms, that's often more difficult, but I try to encourage, if you're really struggling with emotional issues, that maybe we need to move to a pumping system, and that 5 hours you need just of sleep. But you can also look at your nutrition. If we eat better, we feel better. You can also look at exercise. If you're getting regular daily exercise, we know that that boosts mood. It's often hard when you're very depressed, but for some women that could be really beneficial. So there's emergency services, there's reaching out to your doctor, there's community supports, and then there's personal things you can do to help move you through this very difficult time.
Thank you, Dr. Wells, for your expertise and for honestly just like your passion, I think, for women. For those that don't know, like Dr. Wells is a woman's woman. Like she is the right lady to have in your corner. And so thank you so much for your expertise and just taking the time to be able to share with us. And thank you guys for listening.